Hard Truths episode 21, Find Balance and Evolve as a Truther, / TikTok ban was like step up for the revolution. In today's Hard Truths / rabbit hole roundup mashup, I guess you call it, because while the main focus of this episode is going to be more of a deep dive type of topic, I am also going to be covering some current events when it comes to the TikTok ban, and how I actually really like seeing everyone come together with that. But anyways, in today's video I want to talk about how my perspective has evolved since getting into all this truth seeking, and why I believe it's so important to take what I believe to be the final step as a truther, quote unquote, and to be able to find balance.
Serenity now, serenity now.
And this is some of what I actually spoke about when I went on Elle Stone's podcast recently, which if you guys haven't already checked that out, I would highly recommend looking at that video now. Very powerful stuff. When you first find out about this whole world of truth seeking and all the lies that are out there, you start to become like a spy who wants to expose all this corruption and all this wrongdoing that's out there.
You're a super spy! A super spy!
I'm a super spy.
But also what I remembered is that my biggest strength is being able to find the positive in every situation too. So this is where the balance has to come in, and putting our own power and our own positivity back into every situation, versus being overly concerned with the darkness. And what's actually been upsetting me is when I see people who are looking for reasons to be upset or for reasons to be angry, when doing that is actually letting them win as far as I see it.
Hey, Patrick, are you angry too?
Yeah.
I'm also going to be talking about why the whole brief TikTok ban reminded me of the movie Step Up 4, The Revolution, and there's an awesome takeaway that I have from the whole situation. We'll see how much time all that covers, and I may have some more clips too, but I'm thinking this episode is going to be more of one of those focused deep dives into one singular topic, or two topics. But without further ado, let's dive deeper now. Hard Truths episode 21, can you guys handle the truth?
The truth? You want the truth?
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Let's get it now. What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jared Weiss. If you guys didn't know, that must mean that subscribe to the channel so you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, be sure to leave a like, drop a comment, let me know your thoughts on this video. Follow me on every platform. If you guys haven't done so already, make sure to check out my book, Fight Through by Jared Weiss. All the links purchased are on my website, which is jaredbryanweiss.com. That's JAREDRYANWEISS.com. Buy the book, support me, as always, and the support is very much appreciated. So I want to first start off this video by diving into what I see as my evolved perspective on what it means to be a truther / truth seeker. Now, I still wholeheartedly believe that asking questions, questioning everything, and remaining healthily skeptical of everything, whether it's what you hear on the news, whether it's what you see on TV, whether it's what you see on social media, all that questioning is still ultra important, and I fully endorse that, because it's important for creating a world in which we have more critical thinking and more empowered perspectives. However, as I said earlier, the next step, once you get past that, and once you ask all these questions and go down some of these deep rabbit holes, is finding a healthy balance, I think.
Whole life have a balance. Everything be better.
Which means making sure you're not avoiding doing the things that you love to do. Whether it's watch good movies, watch pro sports, listen to music. As long as you're aware of all the agendas behind these things, you can then do these things intentionally and bring your own intentions into them. Next up, I see all these people out there who become so trained to say everything is controlled, it's all scripted, it's all distraction, almost like a reflex, which what they're saying is, don't listen to what this person is saying, you're becoming distracted, you're becoming a mind-controlled slave, etc., etc. But as I've said in the past, so many times, there is duality in everything, and this duality is in all of us. It's never, or rarely is just black or white.
I love the black and white. Two races of flavor living side by side in harmony.
So while I was initially searching for who's control opposition, as my way of seeing who to listen to and who I shouldn't be listening to, my evolved or truther plus perspective as I see it, is that it's more important to analyze the individual points that each person is making, rather than worrying about who's controlled and who isn't. It's like I see all these people, and it's something I spoke about with Elle Stone, saying that Joe Rogan is controlled. And I don't know. I know he does have all these connections, but he also has good connections too, because he's good friends with Sam Tripoli, he's best friends with Eddie Bravo. But if you are going to call him out, I'd rather you focus on where he gets things wrong, as opposed to saying you can't listen to him ever because he's all part of the big club. Because I can guarantee you, he's helped thousands and thousands of people get healthier, adopt better habits, and he's done a lot of good when it comes to waking people up to a lot of the agendas. He may not be as good as someone like Sam Tripoli, but I believe he's done a lot of good, and we can learn from everyone, and should not be denying ourselves of this. It's like, furthermore, you can say what you want about someone like Will Smith.
Mirror, mirror on the wall. I ain't too short, I ain't too tall. Damn if I don't have it all.
But you can't tell me he doesn't have some of the best motivational speeches out there.
Talent you have naturally. Skill is only developed by hours and hours and hours of beating on your craft. I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. I will run.
You would not be outworked.
I will not be outworked. Right. You might have more talent than me. You might be smarter than me. You might be sexier than me. You might be all of those things. You got it on me in 9 categories. But if we get on the treadmill together, right, there's 2 things. You're getting off first, or I'm going to die.
Or movies ever, as far as I see, because he's actually probably my all-time favorite actor. Or music from other people. Or it's like Kobe Bryant and Tom Brady, and their incredible mindsets when it comes to achieving success. If you're gonna avoid that, because as far as you see it, they're all part of the big club, you're gonna be depriving yourselves, and you're gonna be missing out on so much wisdom that's out there. So if you want to leave the culture completely, be my guest, but you're gonna be missing out on a lot. And also, while I get that a lot of famous people have done some really bad things, as far as I see it, let God take care of all their sins. I think we should be talking about it, and we should be talking about ways people get things wrong, but to give all your focus to that, and all your focus to exposing the evil, and constantly judging all their actions.
There's evil afoot.
It just brings more negativity into our lives. And it's like with rap music, coming back to this concept of duality, and looking for the good in every situation, one person sees only darkness when it comes to rap music. Because of all the lyrics, of course, and the frequencies too. But I also see confidence boosters from certain songs when used the right way, and when done so at the right time, and when done so intentionally. So it's so important to not see yourselves as helpless in this dark world, be aware of everything, but not closed off. And yes, you can take a break from the culture, and this may even be a good idea as a way of resetting all of your mental programming, but then you can actually come back to it with a new perspective, and with better intentions once again. It's like, when I first started learning about some of this truther stuff, I took a break from watching sports, because I thought, oh, breads and circuses. Or I'd come up to a video or a movie and say, oh, this person's controlled, can't listen to them, can't watch this person's evil, 1000%, can't be listening to them, or else all these frequencies are gonna take over my body and I'm gonna die.
I'm dying.
But then after that break, I realized that I love pro sports. As I'm a lifelong athlete myself, I love sports. I think that sports in general are actually a metaphor for life in so many ways, and have the power to bring my family and friends together, which you can't tell me is a bad thing. Or this person, even if they are controlled, or from Hollywood, or a famous musician, if I see one of their videos on social media, and if they're saying something really good here about success, I'm gonna listen in now. Very few things in this world are black or white, but yet we all love to make things that way because it simplifies our decision making. Black, white, good, bad, good, evil. This person's good, this person's evil. But we don't like to see the gray area that's in between.
Yes. With shades of gray.
It's like some people are like, this person good, listen to them, believe everything like this person says. Or this one bad, don't listen to anything. But by discarding someone completely, just because they're not on the good team or they're not on your team, or even because they might be part of Hollywood, I'm not saying we should worship them, because idol worship is very bad and very dangerous. Nor should we be idolizing them or modeling our lifestyles off of theirs, but we need to get back to trusting our own discernment to realize when they're saying things that are good and helpful versus when it isn't. Ground yourself spiritually, and then you can take what resonates from people and discard the rest. As long as you have a good backing, and as long as you have a good knowledge base to start from, then you can still listen to some of these people, take what's good, and then get rid of what isn't. And you can also learn from everyone once again. Even the worst people have lessons to offer you, whether it's based on their mistakes in their lives, or whether it's on a success story from their lives. Recently, I've actually been reading this Matthew Perry autobiography.
They do me?
You know, like, could that report be any later?
And based on it, I can see, at least from his writing, that he was generally a good guy who suffered from addiction, and who had a really tough life in spite of what you may think or what you may have seen on the TV. And as I always say when it comes to any of these people who I talk about, I don't know him personally, so I can't say this is like 1000% true. I don't know if he was a good guy, or I'm not sure if he did any bad stuff to others that I'm not aware of, but I will say that reading his story has so much wisdom in it, and there's so many gems to be learned from, that if I were to say I can't learn from him because he was in Hollywood, I'd actually be hurting myself and my chance for knowledge rather than helping it. And to illustrate this point, I actually want to read a few super powerful pages from this book. They're going to show you how much wisdom you could get. So he says here, the last time I'd prayed, right before I'd gotten friends, I'd managed only to strike a Faustian bargain with a God who who had simply drawn a long breath and bided his damn time. Here I was more than a decade later, chancing my praying arm once again. God, please help me, I whispered. Show me that you are here. God, please help me. As I prayed, the little wave in the air transformed into a small golden light. As I kneeled, the light slowly began to get bigger and bigger until it was so big that it encompassed the entire room. It was like I was standing on the sun. I had stepped on the surface of the sun. What was happening, and why was I starting to feel better? And why was I not terrified? The light engendered a feeling more perfect than the most perfect quantity of drugs I had ever taken. Feeling euphoric now, I did get scared and tried to shake it off, but there was no shaking this off. It was way, way bigger than me. My only choice was to surrender to it, which was not hard because it felt so good. The euphoria had begun at the top of my head and slowly seeped down throughout my entire body. I must have sat there for 5, 6, 7 minutes, filled with it. My blood hadn't been replaced with warm honey. I was warm honey. And for the first time in my life, I was in the presence of love and acceptance and filled with an overwhelming feeling that everything was going to be okay. I knew now that my prayer had been answered. I was in the presence of God. Bill Wilson, who created AA, was saved by a lightning bolt through the window experience where he felt he was meeting God. This was mine. But feeling this good was terrifying. I was once asked if I'd ever been happy, and I almost bit that effort's head off. I promised once, during a rehab, I told my counselor that I was freaked out by how happy everyone recovering seemed. They're like a bunch of happy people living on a hill while I'm dying, I had said, and he explained to me that a lot of those people weren't getting it and didn't understand what was going on and would eventually be back in rehab and things would be even worse for them next time around. After about 7 minutes, insert 7 minutes in heaven joke here, the light began to dim. The euphoria died down. God had done his work and was off helping someone else now. I started to cry. I really started to cry, that shoulder-shaking kind of uncontrollable weeping. I wasn't crying because I was sad. I was crying because for the first time in my life, I felt okay. I felt safe, taken care of. Decades of struggling with God and wrestling with life and sadness, always being washed away like a river of pain gone into oblivion. I had been in the presence of God, I was certain of it. And this time I had prayed for the right thing. Help. Eventually the weeping subsided, but everything was different now. I could see color differently, angles were of a different magnitude, the walls were stronger, the ceiling higher, the trees tapping on the windows more perfect now than ever, their roots connected via the soil to the planet and back into me, one great connection created by an ever-loving God and beyond, a sky which had before been theoretically infinite was now unknowably endless. I was connected to the universe in a way I had never been. Even the plants in my house, which I had never even noticed before, seemed in sharp focus, more lovely than it was possible to be, more perfect, more alive. I stayed sober for 2 years based solely on that moment. God had shown me a sliver of what life could be. He had saved me that day, and for all days no matter what. He had turned me into a seeker, not only of sobriety and truth, but also of him. He had opened a window and closed it as saying, now go earn this. Nowadays, when a particular darkness hits me, I find myself wondering if it was just that Xanax insanity, a continuation of the snake I've been sure was about to show up. The drug can cause what the National Institutes of Health describe as a reversible brief psychotic episodes. I later had a gigantic seizure in front of my father too, which wasn't the most fun I've ever had, nor was being rushed to a UCLA medical center, which at the time I thought was an Angel Way station. But quickly, I returned to the truth of the golden light. When I am sober, I can still see it. Remember what it did for me. Some might write it off as a near-death experience, but I was there and it was God. And when I am connected, God shows me that it was real. Little hints like when the sunlight hits the ocean and turns it into a beautiful golden color, or the reflection of sunlight on the green leaves of a tree, or when I see the light return to someone's eyes when they come out of the darkness into sobriety. And I feel it when I help someone get sober. The way it hits my heart when they say thank you, because they don't know yet that I should really be thanking them. A year later, I met a woman who I'd stayed with for 6 years. God is everywhere, you just have to clear your channel or you'll miss it. Now, if you're telling me like that writing and that message isn't incredible, just because it's coming from someone who was part of Hollywood, then I think you're actually willfully blinding yourself and not learning wisdom from someone. Now, I still believe that it's very important to go down every, or at least the most relevant conspiracies or rabbit holes.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Because doing this will create awareness over the agendas at play and will help to understand where our power has been limited or held back. And this will help us to understand what's going on, and will have you asking questions. And as far as I see it, awareness is most of the battle. Because then it's up to us how we choose to use this knowledge. It's like, I believe conspiracy can either lead us closer to spirituality, as it has in my case, and then it becomes a super empowering thing, or it can lead you to engulfing yourselves in negativity and blaming everything on this group or the government.
They? The government?
And then you don't actually allow yourself to be happy. But a powerful song lyric from one of my all-time favorites, Andy Grammer, is from one of his newer songs, Magic, where he says, I used to question everything, but now I'm busy tapping in. So that's what I want from myself and from you guys too. To be able to take this awareness and knowledge, but then start creating your own magic. And I still plan to cover whatever relevant conspiracies I find, or whatever rabbit holes I find can lead you towards an empowering takeaway. But that's why I've also been incorporating all these awesome quotes and clips from highly successful people, even if it is Hollywood people, or these famous musicians, because it's the message that I want you to take away from these masters in their craft. I'm not telling you to model your lifestyle after them, but I'm taking their messages, combining them with my own, and creating my own magic from this, and hopefully inspiring others to do the same, versus getting lost going down a rabbit hole that will make me think that, like, I don't have a chance of getting out of this as so many other people do.
I'm doomed. You're finished with your journey.
And once again, once you start going down some of these rabbit holes, I get it. It becomes exciting, it's thrilling, and that's normal when it comes to any new knowledge. But then what you realize is that first off, not everyone wants to hear about it. Not everyone is ready to hear about it. You also realize, like, that maybe there are some things that you still don't know, because no one has the ultimate truth, no matter how many times they try to tell you they do. And also, people aren't bad just because they have different beliefs than you, or because they've been gone down as many rabbit holes as you have. And while certain people may still be really hard to talk to, like the ones who are so ultra indoctrinated, and who make every conversation about that, about whatever's going on in the news, etc., and whatever nonsense is out there, most people, I believe, the vast majority of us, want the same things, and we can still be friends, and most people do have something special to offer the world, and are worth a conversation. So that was like part one of this video, I guess you'd say. That's my whole evolved perspective as a truther. And next up, I want to talk about the whole TikTok ban, the temporary ban, and why this reminds me of the movie Step Up for the Revolution. For anyone out there who is saying, oh, it should go away, or temporarily content creators to get a real job, do you realize how many people have made a living, or who've promoted their business through TikTok? It's like the same thing as, let's just say, we get to the point where robots can do your job better than you.
Robots are taking over the world!
What if everyone said, oh, it's great that you can't work, and that you can't make money anymore? Would you still feel the same way? And who actually decides what a real job is and what a real job isn't? I mean, is this just like a case of misery loves company? So like, if you're miserable at your job, then everyone else should be also? And for all the brain rot that's on TikTok, there's a lot of great stuff on there too. So to be okay with our government taking away people's livelihoods and taking away their right to freedom of speech is a very dangerous precedent. And you know what I find is sad? We're always told that we're living in a democracy and it's all about power to the people. And yet, 170 million people, give or take, were letting their voices be heard when it came to TikTok and not banning it. And yet the government and Congress was still so intent on shutting it down. Do you really think that that had anything to do with national security? Or is it more about controlling the narrative? And for any of you who have ever seen the movie Step Up 4, when this big corporation wants to come into the small business area in Miami and take it over and knock it all down, and then put up commercial property on top of that, but like what ends up happening? At the end of the movie, all the small people who weren't part of the government and who weren't part of these powerful organizations who were in Miami wanted to make their voices heard.
Isn't it time to start fighting for what you want?
I think it's pretty clear that this community has something to say to you.
There's no way we can stop you from destroying our neighborhood. But we wanted to show you what's being lost in the process.
So whether or not the whole temporary TikTok ban was a stunt or whatever it was, I think it was actually really cool to see how many people came together, how many people could agree on how TikTok has helped them, whether it was their business, whether it was like creating communities with others, whether it was finding people who had similar interests to them. And the people in power were essentially forced to listen.
Maybe there's a way we can build this neighborhood up without tearing it down. What do you say?
Yeah. Even though I'm sure these people still want to take away all of our rights as much as they can, and I'm sure that like they're still going to try their best to censor us and take away our right to freedom of speech, but regardless of what actually happens here, I do think it was really cool to see how many people came together to make our voices heard and to let these people know what they were taking away in the process. It wasn't just like some brain rot and it wasn't just some pointless trends, but like this was actually getting into people's livelihoods as well as people's mental health, which I know, of course, social media is not perfect. There's a lot of flaws with all these apps, including TikTok, but for all the nonsensical stuff that's on these apps and for all the stuff that leads to poor mental health, there's a lot of really great things on here too. It all depends on how you're using it. So like, once again, nothing is black or white. Anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you guys enjoyed this message. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the channel, be sure to drop a like, leave a comment, let me know your thoughts down below. I will catch you guys next time. Stay positive, stay hustling, stay grinding. Remember, like, that's okay to be happy and it's okay to be positive, even in this whole crazy world. I love you guys. Catch you next time. Peace.